Today we are with our speaker, Dr. Kevin Chen, who is currently CEO of Edoc Acquisition Corp, a NASDAQ listed SPAC. He's a chief economist and CIO of Horizon Financial, as well as an adjunct associate professor in New York University. Dr. Chen earned a PhD in finance from the Financial Asset Management Engineering Center at University of Lausanne, Switzerland in October 2004. Welcome, Dr. Chen. Thank you for being here.
Sure. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very honored to speak here tonight.
Yeah, so let's get started. So, Dr. Chen, could you please give the audience a brief intro of your career journey?
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, first, I really I feel it's such an great opportunity to share some of the experience with you guys. By no means I'm an successful business person or whatever, but I'm happy to share my career trajectory. So I got my bachelor's degree from a university in China. And luckily, I got my first job, work for a major bank in China for the headquarters. Somehow, I guess I was good at English, so I got the job working for the bank's headquarters. But after 2 years there, I thought it was not enough, undergraduate degree, and also, the job market is extremely competitive, right? So you want to stay ahead, you want to move forward, you need, I think, graduate school education. So I joined so after that, I basically applied for a couple of graduate schools in the US and Europe. And but finance, I wanted to continue to do to get first a master's degree in finance, and then hopefully a PhD. But finance is not it's not easy to get a scholarship, and I was not rich enough to pay for the graduate school tuition here in the US. So I got a scholarship in the Netherlands, Holland basically, and went to graduate school there to do finance master's degree. And after got the master's degree in Holland, I got initially an internship at the ING, the largest Dutch financial conglomerate. Basically, they run insurance companies, banks, etc. I got an internship there in summer, and they also offered me a full-time job. And I really loved the place. Holland, The Hague is a very nice city. That's where a lot of international organizations are based. Nearby is the North Sea, is beautiful city, everything. But I looked around, I was like, if I take this job, I'm going to be, doing this probably for many years. And I feel I was not, fulfilled, let's say, with my studies yet. So I turned down the job offer and applied for graduate school for PhD programs, and got a opportunity in Switzerland. And also, it was very difficult to actually get a visa to go to Switzerland to study because they're very restrictive. Somehow I got it done. I went to Switzerland and to do the PhD. And I have to say that it's really not easy to do a PhD in finance. It's very, to be honest, very depressing. you look at the wall, you study until 2-3 a.m. and you regret why I decided to do this. Why don't I just take a job, or why don't I quit? I tried many times, tried to convince myself to not to quit. And in fact, I think if some of you guys are going to graduate school eventually to do a PhD, you will realize that actually a lot of people will quit. PhD is not easy. But somehow I continued and got to the degree. And then, talk about career development. I think one thing is to grab all the opportunities you can get. And somehow at my last year, I was doing research. And there was one person back in Chicago contacted me, asked me about my research. And said, can you send me a paper, etc. So, I didn't think too much. I just sent the paper. And later on, she told me that, in fact, they're working with Morgan Stanley about some research project and asked me, if you're interested in joining the company after graduation. And I just grabbed it at this opportunity. And later on, I was told that usually it's very difficult to go through the recruitment process for a major investment bank, but because I was already part of the original research idea, so they basically just offered me a job. First in Switzerland, and then moved from Switzerland to Chicago, then Chicago to New York through Morgan Stanley. I guess one thing is that, when you guys start your career, right? Tonight we talk about career development. Your first job is very, very important. Your first job would define really what you will do in your career. Of course, there are a lot of people who started with I would say a relatively small company, kind of moved up, but it's always tougher, I would say, to do that. For you guys, I assume most of you are very good already academically, and you probably will go to a very good university. So after graduation, my suggestion is, go to the best company you can, because you want to build a momentum, and the momentum starts, very strong if you enter into let's say a brand name, very large company that would be very good for your resume. So anyway, I was at Morgan Stanley for some years, and then a French bank, Crédit Agricole, they were going to expand in the US, and they were looking for a portfolio manager to manage their several billion-dollar book. And out of all the requirements, they have one thing is that it's a French bank, so they want someone to speak French. And I guess because I was back in Switzerland, I did learn French. I was conversational in French. I can read French. Maybe I cannot write French well, but I guess compared to other candidates, I think it was a major differentiation point. So talk about career development. Another thing is, really to learn as many languages as you can is very important. So that's another, I guess, good break I got to join the French bank to be a senior portfolio manager. Instead of at Morgan Stanley, I was, quantitative research analyst. And so at the French bank, I was managing quite some capital, and was good. I guess, it was a good career move. But later on, so we decided to start our own company. So we essentially launched a investment management company based on my experience at the investment bank, and started to get more clients and manage their money. And when you start your own company, one thing is very important is to grow your profile, right? You need to attract investors. You want to convince prospective investors that you are a experienced professional. You have good you have good knowledge. You have good profile, etc. And so I decided to also join a New York University as an adjunct professor. Being a professor at NYU really helped me to connect with a lot of people. I guess, and also to be able to teach fintech, global risk, etc., really helped me to build up my profile. And many of the clients, in fact, now I've been teaching at NYU for 11 years, and they feel more confident dealing with us. So after running the company, we have been launching many other initiatives, including, I would say, I have a financial background, but I realized one thing is that healthcare is a sector that has plenty of opportunities. If you look at it in the US, right, 14% of GDP of the country is spent on healthcare. So in healthcare, there are just unbelievably good opportunities for anyone. So we decided to enter healthcare. Initially, we participated in some of those, some of the construction of hospitals. built some surgical centers, eye surgical centers, dental centers, dermatology centers, etc. Mainly in North Carolina and the Virginia area, because that's an area with a lot of population growth. In fact, a lot of people from New Jersey moved there. So, with the healthcare investment, in particular, those hospital investment over the past, I would say 4 or 5 years, I met a lot more physicians and I would say hospitals in January, build up my network. And that's how we launched the Edoc, which is a healthcare acquisition company, essentially to acquire healthcare related assets and bring them to be publicly traded on the NASDAQ exchange. So that's, I guess, a short story to share with you guys about how we kind of built from the original finance toward healthcare, etc. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. So just to tell everyone, if you do have a question, leave it in the chat and we'll get to it after the seminar. And yeah, so you did so perseverance and hard work is definitely part of this journey in finance. And I actually do really like NYU because that's one of the colleges that I am actually going to try to apply to. So yeah, that's great. And so, since we're talking about business, what kind of talents do you need to do well in the business world?
I would say, it's simple, but it's also complex. Simple in the sense that, I was in the academic environment, doing PhD research, and also I've been teaching, and I know a lot of professors, right? If you're really, in a pure academic environment to write research papers, to publish, etc., it's very, very tough. It's very competitive. In fact, when I got, the job to move to Morgan Stanley, my thesis advisor later on became Swiss National Bank governor, told me that congratulations, now you actually choose an easy way out instead of the rigorous research at academics. So that's why I think to some extent business environment, Wall Street is actually not as it's easier, to be honest, compared to academic. To be a tenured professor, etc. It's very, very difficult. It's complex, but also it's complex to be in the business world in Wall Street. I think the reason is in academic, all you need to do is to be essentially to study well and then to do research well, right? You don't need to deal with a lot of people. It's simpler environment, but in the business world, it's much more complex in the sense that you need to be able to connect with a lot of people. You need to be presentable. You need to be showing interest to others. You need to build a network. You need to grab a lot of opportunities, whichever comes over to you, and you need to be very competitive, which makes it very complex. And so it's that's why it's not easy. But I think if you can keep on learning, it would not be that difficult. One of the I would say you can actually get a lot of so-called mentors by reading, right? Warren Buffett is one of my I guess the person I really look to, and I read a lot of things about him. And one thing he said very clearly is, to read the book about, the Carnegie book about how to make people like you and how to deal with people. It's a book published, in 1930s, so 80 years ago. But still, it's a very, very good book. A very short book. It's about how to, ask questions, how to connect with people, how to show interest to other people, how to build some long-term connection, relationship, to help your career progress. All those are very important, and these are not the things you can learn from an academic environment, but that's something you can actually learn from doing, I guess.
Yeah. So networking, being socially active is very important, as a talent in the business world. Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there any sort of roadmap for students who want to study business as a major?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, people come from all different kind of backgrounds. I've met people who are extremely successful, but who were formerly, physicians, mathematicians, but also, people really started, MBA or, business background, or from legal background, from law school, etc. People who are successful could really from any, past, from any background. There are people who studied, who, even today I was talking to someone, I said, some of the most successful people in business world are actually people I met who studied history, who, who know the, what happened in history and try to apply what they learned in the past to the current environment. So there's really no set path. It's more about how you can, I guess, adapt to the changing environment. One thing is very clear is that what you learned in the school, a lot of those could really be, obsolete very quickly. That's why it's very important to keep on learning. No one I've known who are successful who are not readers. They read a lot of things every day, and you see them, keep on improving, their knowledge and become an expert in the field that maybe previously they were not an expert at all. And to be able to learn to kind of adapt to the new industry, new world, new environment is very important.
Yeah, so like adaptation. So it doesn't really like have to start off as like you're studying business and like that's that. Like you can definitely, if you have like a career, different career, like you can always learn.
Oh, totally. I mean, I tell you, most of the bankers I know who are very successful are the bankers who actually who studied, arts or, history, etc. And of course, there are bankers who are, business people who are, who are formerly in law school or medical school too. So could be really from any field. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, like, what kind of high school student like deciding to pursue business as a major expect?
Yeah, it's really it's really very very early. For high school, to keep your interest broad based and to learn a lot of different things. Because you for now it's really not much about the knowledge. I think it's about the foundation. If you can lay a lay a solid foundation in high school, and then go to university, you're going to be able to build on this. And whichever major you choose, whether it's business, economics, or any other liberal arts, it all could work. I wouldn't worry too much about what to study, but I want to, but at high school, you really want to build up a solid base, even athletically. A lot of successful people on Wall Street are, athletes in high school. So.
Yeah, so like sports are actually like they also play a part, right?
Sure. Yes. I can give you one example. The U.S. SEC chairman, very powerful person, right? He came to New York Economic Club to speak for lunch speech, and he talked about his experience, Wharton, all those great experience. No one paid much attention. People thought, oh, that's normal, right? Everyone, at this level, you have to be very competitive, have to be very good at study, etc. But when he mentioned he was a high school, the varsity basketball team captain, the whole, venue, everyone kind of, applauds, and everyone's, said, "Wow, this is so great." He immediately got the, I would say, got everyone's admiration right there. So you can see that, to be able to do well, even in high school athletically, really, gain you a lot of credibility. People immediately thought, oh, he's a team leader. He's a very good, leader, running a team, basically, high school. Yeah. Despite later on
Yeah.
his all his other major achievements, from all the great universities, all the degrees, no one paid much attention except this.
Wow. That's so crazy. Like because like the leadership position as like the basketball varsity captain, got him more credibility than all the
Yes, because
academics.
at this level, everyone assumes you must be very good at academic wise. You must graduate from some very good university. You must already have a graduate school degree. No one really thought that's extraordinary achievement.
Yeah. So, as a follow-up question, do you think it's a good decision for high school students to go for an undergraduate major in business, since most business schools are for like an MBA?
Yeah, sure. That's something I would say debatable, right? I know some of the universities right now, the B school already are taking undergraduate students, and it's very very competitive to go in. And to be honest, there's a joke on Wall Street. They're saying that for the students who, let's say, go to Stern for undergraduate or go to Wharton for undergraduate business degree, they already know in 5 years, which floor they are going to be working out of, let's say, Bank of America or JP Morgan, which bond they are going to trade, and in 10 years, which house they're going to buy in the Hamptons. So, but it's a way of, I would say, it's a proven path. I think a lot of people are doing it very successfully. Go to a major, a high, top quality business school for undergraduate, and some of them actually would go after that, go to a law school, and a combination of B school, undergraduate, law school, and after that, basically you got done with your study and you go for a private equity, or actually go for investment bank for 2 years, and then after that, private equity, etc., to do deals. It is a very much a proven path. I think if any of you are interested, go for it. It's very competitive, but it's a proven path. However, I would say, it's not the only path, right? There are people who actually really, prefer not to be, let's say, all set from the very beginning. Instead of this, I can tell you, Greenspan, Alan Greenspan, right? Another, very successful leader. I admire him a lot. He went to Juilliard musical school, right? He was a saxophone player, and he graduated from Juilliard, and then he was, performing different, he was doing actually tours in America in different bars, etc. And then after that, he decided to go to business school, and actually he went to New York University to do a PhD in economics. And after that, he joined, the consulting firm, etc., and eventually became the chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank. And also, he's probably one of the most successful Fed chair. But he's a music major, right? And he talked about his saxophone playing, experience undergraduate time. So the point is that there are a lot of choices, and you don't have to decide as a day one.
Yeah, totally. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's like, so it's like undergraduate, you can study something else, like your example with music. It doesn't have to be really related to business, but you can always get
Sure.
to business.
Sure. In fact, I would argue that if you are, let's say, mathematics minded, or if you're interested in quantitative trading, or let's say, some of the derivative trading part of the Wall Street, careers, you probably want to do a math major for undergraduate. And math major would be very, very good preparation for you after that, because with a math undergraduate degree, you can actually switch to any of those graduate programs in MBA or econ or finance, etc., and you'll feel very comfortable versus other majors. In fact.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. And since we know you're mostly focused on finance and investment, like what other career paths are there regarding business, and what do you think is the best one?
I wouldn't say there's any best one. Finance is a pretty broad category, right? Investment, that's one area we're doing. Essentially, that's so-called the buy side. So you have the money, you buy things, right? You invest in stocks, bonds. You could be buying gold, you could be buying Bitcoin, etc. That's buy side, right? but also there's the sell side, which is really, the brokerage side. You try to do deals, right? You want to do M&A deals, private equity deals. You try to, be essentially to promote, those, let's say, investment ideas to the buy side. So that's the sell side jobs. There are a lot of them too. And also there's, the corporate finance part. Because finance is something I would say no one can avoid it, right? No company can avoid it. So almost not almost, but I would say 100% all the major companies, there are finance related positions too, from the top CFO level all the way to to the treasuries, to the that's another part. And also I would say more I would say toward the long-term side. There are also the pension fund investments, endowments, etc. Every state government, they have very strong they have investment arms to manage the wealth of the state, etc. So there are finance. It's a very broad industry. Roughly, I think about 10% of the U.S. Workforce are in finance.
Okay, I see. So, also like talking about business, like I'm really interested in entrepreneurship and like startup companies and stuff like that. So, for those that do want to go into entrepreneurship, what major should they pursue in college? And I'm guessing they don't really have to pursue a business major, right? Since you already said that they can always get into like this later with like any really undergraduate degree. And what skills should they have to like really start or develop like a company?
Sure. To be entrepreneurs, it's very good. It's very exciting. And in the US, I think, the culture is very much encouraging the entrepreneurship. And to start a company, I think it's a great thing. I totally would encourage you guys to do it. And, I guess the most successful ones are the Bill Gates, the Mark Zuckerberg and all this, right? And you see all of them actually did not finish university. They were dropouts from universities. And it's almost like became like a trademark that if you drop out of the university to start a company, you might be even more successful than others. And but entrepreneurship is not easy, right? If you look at the statistics, 99.9% of companies, startups would fail, right? The success rate is extremely low, and obviously that's why you need to be well prepared for essentially for failure, and and also to be an entrepreneur, to start companies, you probably want to test some of the smaller ones first, right? Instead of those very big ideas to try to change the world. If you look at Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg, they actually all started a lot of I would say smaller startups earlier in high school, in early university. They were trying to put the computer hardware together to sell computers. They were trying to create web page for others, etc. So all those, I would say, if you look at Warren Buffett, even at high school, he was running a snow shoveling practice for his neighbors to make some money out of it, and he was actually selling chewing gums to his classmates. So so those are I think those are small startups, entrepreneurships, but I think you learn from those. You learn from those to understand how tough it is, how difficult it is to start a company, to start anything. And I think that's helpful for your later on entrepreneurship. And so yeah, I totally encourage you guys to do it. To even at NYU, I know some of my students, they started fintech companies right after graduation and doing a lot of exciting things. So totally, I think you should aim for them. You should do it, but just be prepared for it. It's not easy.
Yeah, so like learning from failure, learning from mistakes, because
Oh, sure.
yeah, so because like failure is really like what teaches you how to do those entrepreneurship skills better and develop a even better company.
Sure.
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah.
kind of to add a couple of cents to this, if you look at all those successful, startups, right, they all had partners. You actually, most likely, you're not going to be able to success by yourself. You need to actually build up I would say, a partnership. Find some good friends, maybe from university dormitories or from your high school classmates, from whatever. But to be able to have a couple of people like-minded to start the whole entrepreneurship together, it will be so much more. Will make your success rate to go up. To do it alone is not easy, and it's close to impossible. All of them actually had partners at the very beginning.
Yeah, so cooperation is very important
Yeah,
between.
which means you need to build up a network, right? You need to actually know people, build up friendship, convince people to join you, which is not easy.
Yeah, so it all goes back to really just being socially active.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And yeah. So going back to like college and like majors such as like that, what is the difference between an economics major and a business major really?
Sure. Yeah. The econ typically is really from the Faculty of Art and Science (FAS), and usually it's more theoretical. It's more about econ, micro, macro, and econometrics. It's a little bit more theoretical. It's probably more rigorous toward the academic side. And business major is it's more about, I guess, related to the marketing, to the general management, to consulting, to finance, etc. So of course business major usually it's in the B school, right? And B school and the economic department usually they are separate, and so you're likely to learn different things. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I see. Yeah, because economics is more of the like it's more on the theoretical side of
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So
Sure. Yeah, but on the other hand, for a lot of the universities, if you look at history, right, the B school actually originally came from the econ department, because econ department actually usually has majors, including not only economics but also accounting, finance, business management, etc. And they grow and grow, and they become B school independent, right? But then before that, in fact, the econ department is originally in the universities in Europe. Econ department actually is part of the legal department or the law school. So usually, in the original universities in Europe, it was law school. Law department is one of the key departments, and some of the researchers in law school actually spin off and to do economic research. So there's actually a line of expansion, but they're all related.
so they're all connected, related. I see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
And usually B school graduates they tend to find a little bit a job paid a little bit higher, got a little bit better paid job. And in the graduate school, you actually notice some of the graduate students try to shift, getting closer, cozy up to the B school people, and try to get a bit more classes there, and shift in the B school, a job market. It happens all the time. And but that's everyone understands why.
yeah, yeah. So since you do a lot of like investing and like that, so what do you really enjoy about investing?
Yeah, I would say investment. It's very exciting, and you need to incorporate a lot of knowledge, right? You need to incorporate the macro picture. Whether interest rate goes up, interest rate goes down. You need to understand the labor market. What happened in COVID, the impact from a big picture point of view. But also investment is very, very much micro, in the sense that you need to understand individual companies, performance, right? Let's say Apple, recently Apple is not doing so great. Why? Because Apple apparently lost some lawsuit that they have to open up this, payment system to others. And Apple used to charge something like 35% of whatever people spend on the apps. And if they're losing this part, they're going to make less money, which makes Apple stock to go down. And that's very, very much micro research. I've known people who investing in those stocks. They would actually drive to the shops and staking from the shop account how many people go in every day, and they would call up the cashier of let's say a retail shop and ask them how's your business recently, and try to invest based on that too. So investment is in a kind of all encompassing all different categories, but also you need to be very focused. And lastly, I think investment is also very much so-called instant gratification, in the sense that if you are convinced about stock, you buy today. If you're right, you're going to make money from tomorrow on, right? So so there's no delay, and so that's very exciting, and that's how it attracts a lot of young people to Wall Street too.
Yeah, investment is really exciting. I've actually done a little bit of stocks myself.
Sure.
I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty.
You can do a lot of research. You can spend a lot of time. You can always try to get one step ahead of others by knowing more.
Yeah, like learning, and it really gives you an advantage. Yeah.
Sure.
So why did you really get into finance?
Sure. Yeah. I think I was originally econ major undergraduate. So at econ major, right? You there could be some of more like theoretical, let's say macroeconomic research or econometrics, statistics analysis, accounting, or your fiscal, etc., or could be financial market. I guess for me at least, out of all the different let's say subjects in finance, I think investment is probably more exciting versus, let's say in the in a broader base econ business major, right, versus, let's say, fiscal policy research or econometrics, right, about statistical model, or accounting or auditor. So you just pick up what you like most. There are some people who really love, let's say, auditing work, right? They like to read what are the all the financial statements, etc. And there are people who are very good at fiscal research, or look at the government revenue, spending, etc. For me, I'm not interested in the other fields, I guess. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. So what does success look like in your position?
I would like to recommend, a book, for example, like, Whitney Tilson's book, right? Recently, he wrote a book about, how to be, to be success somehow is actually, for a lot of people, is actually to not, stay behind. Because the society is very, very competitive, right? Think about, for you, let's say from elementary school all the way to high school, you probably, have already some of the students probably are not doing good as well as you guys. Go to, you probably, most of you are going to enter into a very good university, right? Post university, your career begins, and then graduate school, etc. And you will see actually it's what's called a pyramid, basically. The longer it goes, the less people are there, comparatively. Think about Morgan Stanley. What I remember is, every year they probably hire about 2,000 to 3,000 interns, and out of that, a half or maybe a bit less would get a job. But after 5 years, I saw the statistics, only about less than 50 stay actually. So people would leave, or people would be fired, etc. So to be able to stay in the game is already very, very difficult. And that's why you see Wall Street. It's a lot of people come every year, but you don't see a lot more people in aggregation. So you see a lot of people actually will drop off too. So it's it's a competitive world, and it's a very competitive industry in particular.
Yeah. So really, like, talking about success here, could you really describe like a successful work project that you did and how you achieved those results?
Yeah, sure. So I guess, and also this can be, I guess, related to, I saw, somehow there was a question earlier popped up about a region, right? Why we pick up North Carolina. So I guess, to share the example, 4 years ago, actually 5 years ago, we thought we wanted to invest in healthcare. We want to build hospitals. We want to invest in hospitals. It's you can make some money out of it, of course, but also it's a very, I guess it's a very it's basic. It's you do something good, right? And but when we were doing research about building hospitals, investing in a surgical center, for example, what we realized is that New York and New Jersey is very crowded market. It's very established, and there's not much space to, let's say, build a new, let's say, medical center. In fact, you don't see a lot of new opportunities. But what we realized was, North Carolina area or Virginia area, a lot of people are moving there. It's the population growth is very quick, and when you see a lot of people moving there, when you see a population growth, when you see an area added 100,000 people over, let's say, 2 to 3 years, you realize immediately that the chances are, out of 100,000 people newly moved there, they will need some healthcare. They will need some surgical centers, dental centers, all kinds of medical service. And so that's why we picked North Carolina. Land is cheap. Land is about 1/7 as much as New Jersey. So you buy a land almost compared to New Jersey and New York, it's almost free. You got the land, you build, you get a permit, you build a hospital. After that, you get the physicians to move in, and 2 to 3 years, it's up and running. It's receiving patients, and it's profitable for us, but also it's good for the community, because the community, when you have a large inflow of people, there's a shortage of healthcare service, and what we are providing, it's helpful to the local community. So it's good for everyone, and then I guess that's I would consider to be a successful project done, and now we're expanding even more, building even more facilities, because not only North Carolina but Florida and South Carolina, Kentucky, those areas you see you see more need. So we provide we provide, let's say, healthcare to meet those demand.
Yeah, I think that's great. So, like obviously with like years of working in this like business industry, there's obviously going to be some challenges and some situations that you're going to have to overcome. So, could you tell us how you overcame a challenging situation?
Sure. Yeah. The Wall Street is, I would say, in general, the economy is very cyclical, in the sense that there will be always a good time, there will be a bad time, or let's say recession time, right? The market always comes by different reasons, and so for a couple of years it will be very good, and after that there's a recession. Companies are laying off people, demand is very low, very difficult to raise money, and you just have to push on. And back to the first thing we talked about, to have a network of friends and let's say business partners to be supportive is very important, because no one stays in, let's say, in the booming time forever. And after boom, there's always a recession. And when things are tough, you actually need friends even more. You need institutions who can support you, places that you have been working with, the hospitals that maybe, this year is not, getting a lot of demand. And people might be seeing the dermatology or dentist less often now, because if they make less money, they probably don't go as frequently. How do you deal with that, right? You need to be prepared for it. So, which means actually, the community of supporting network is even more important in those tough environments.
Yeah. So, what about like such as events like the Great Recession, or were the like did that really affect you or like business like that you're working in?
Sure, yeah, totally. I remember in 2008 when I left Morgan Stanley, the stock price was dropping something like 20% per day. And Lehman Brothers went bankruptcy, and a lot of places shut down. And you see the whole city is in recession, and so all those happen, right? And I guess but you need to be prepared, and just to at a good when the time is good, you prepare for the it's the bad time. And I think on Wall Street, let's say if you let's say overextend yourself in those good times, then when the recession hits, it's very very difficult. But if you prepare well enough, then it kind of goes through it, because after recession, there's always another boom coming. So you just need to I guess manage through the trough. But on Wall Street, actually, you will realize that a lot of people are not prepared, and banks shut down all the time, and companies go into trouble. They lay off a lot of people, and that's why you want to be able to be prepared. And Great Recession 2008 was a very very good lesson. A lot of people actually got their life saving wiped out in 2008. And when some of the big financial institutions failed, it was devastating.
Yeah, so like complacency is like very dangerous in like these
Hmm.
types of times, and really preparation is like crucial. And yeah, so I think that's gonna be it for me. So like now that we finish, hopefully you all learned something about business and finance, and we'll open it up to you guys now for any questions that you would like to ask. So please type your question in the chat or use the raise hand feature to like personally talk if you want to. And we actually do have a few questions here in the chat. So one question is, where is the transcript of this meeting if there was one? I think I'm not sure if we do have the transcript, but I know it will be uploaded to YouTube on the AYLUS website. So definitely check like the website that I posted out and to see a post that's about this seminar. And so this question is, could someone share the name of the book Dr. Chen mentioned? So I think it was the book by
Yeah,
Carnegie,
Carnegie. Yes.
or
The book, the exact name, I'm not I don't remember well, but you can just search Carnegie. The book is about how to make friends and convince people. That's one
okay.
book.
I
And the
think
other book is from
yeah.
Whitney Tilson. He recently published a book. Just search his name, Whitney Tilson, Tilson. You'll find his books, and his latest book published this year about career development. A very good book.
Yeah. So I actually think it's the one by Carnegie is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yes, correct.
So yeah.
That's a very very good. It's classy. I think I recommend each and every one of you get a copy and read it right now. It will change your life.
Yeah, I think I should get one copy too. Yeah. So
And
another question is
many
how do
many other books. Any books about Warren Buffett, about Charlie Munger. All those are very good books to read if you want to enter into business.
yeah, I think that's pretty good. So another question is how do you handle corporate acquisitions?
Yeah, acquisition is it's part of the I guess it's part of the Wall Street, or part of the the whole ecosystem in the U.S. Companies become the successful companies. They are successful because they're very good at merger and acquisition. Google is a very good example, right? Google buys about 20 plus companies each year, and they are so successful now because they bought some of the company who does online ad, the YouTube and all those. So yeah, M&A is a crucial part of our ecosystem. and but how to find a good target, how to negotiate, how to, let's say, make sure all the stakeholders are satisfied. All those are very complex. And a big job of the investment banks are really to do M&A well. And so it's an area with a lot of opportunities. You can be a deal maker.
Yeah, yeah. So, if there's any more questions, please put them in now. If there isn't, and oh, never mind, we do actually have some. Can you compare your career in academia versus business, and what is the most satisfying part in each career?
Sure, yeah, yeah. So teaching to me is very important. I feel, it's my passion that I connect with a lot of people. I've students from almost everywhere in the world. I've students from Afghanistan that I stay in touch with them. I have students from a lot of them from Asia. I have students from Europe, from Latin America. I stay in touch with them. I learn from them over the years. And it's very good for my career too, to be connected with so many people globally. And but business, I think it's about to make a lot of change, and so it's it's a lot of give and take. Academic, it's really about what you give, right? You don't get much back directly. You get a lot of emotional satisfaction, and so it's very different. But the good thing is in the U.S. What I like is almost, I would say a lot of people on Wall Street teach at the university as adjunct professors. And a lot of government former officials, they also teach at the universities. So you actually, at the university, you actually would meet a lot of people who are not, let's say, tenured professor or purely academic, in the sense that, they're teaching just because they like it. And right now, the current SEC chairman, he was actually adjunct professor at MIT teaching the Bitcoin for the last 3-4 years. And it's amazing to look at his some of all his teaching online now at MIT about his view on Bitcoin and all those. And now he's a regulator with this the whole very exciting industry. So all those are I would say are the a very unique thing that you can learn in America. Actually, it's if you go to other countries, most of the other countries don't have this. That to have a lot of the what's so-called practitioners in academia. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, going back to that, their next question was, how about any lifestyle change, like between those?
Yeah, sure, sure. I think if you're a tenured professor, right, your life is pretty much set. you know, unless you do something really, really bad. Otherwise, no one can fire you. You do your research. It's it's not easy to get a tenure. But if you're a tenured professor, you're pretty much, you have all your freedom to do whatever research you want, and the lifestyle is you got a lot of free time. And I guess versus the industry or Wall Street or business world is very much competitive. That you got to, what's called, every day you wake up, you need to think about what you're going to do today, to versus yesterday. So in fact, Warren Buffett even talked about how to make sure when you're sleeping you're still making profit out of it. So so that's a major difference, I guess.
Yeah. So, the next question, how can I get the recording? So, I'll post the site in the chat if you haven't seen it already. But basically, just type in AYLUS.org and you'll see a post later on in talk with the YouTube video uploaded, so you can always watch it whenever you want. And oh, another question is, did you have to overcome any fear or worry when switching to the business world? And if so, how did you overcome the uncertainty?
Sure. Yeah, uncertainty is everywhere, right? Nothing is certain in the business world. Things change every day, all the time. Companies go bust. Companies go very successful. So yeah, uncertainty. I mean, but I guess fear is really not very how should I put it? Fear is not a way out, basically. Uh, to be fearful wouldn't help you. That's why, you know, you just you don't want to be worried about it anymore. You need to think about how to be successful, how to overcome all those. And you know, it's not just you alone, right? That's why you want to build a team. You want to have some, you know, friends, partners, colleagues. You can share your, you know, passion together. You can share your concern together, and to encourage each other, in particular when there's a downtime. So, you know, again, back to the, you know, how to have a good team or supporting, you know, network of people that you can share. Let's say you can share your frustration too, right? But not fear. Fear wouldn't help.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So that should be it for the rest of the questions. Remember, check out the AYLUS.org if you want to see the YouTube video that will be uploaded there. It will be uploaded shortly. And thank you, Dr. Chen, for coming to speak. Really
Sure.
appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Anthony, and thanks everyone for joining. And I wish you all of you good luck, success. I'm pretty sure you guys will be very successful when you enter the job market and to build a very successful career. And you know, we can stay in touch. Maybe in 5-10 years, you know, we can be, you know, working on things together. So good luck with everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, you all.